Hello, people. We're talking about perfectionism today, day 4 of the challenge. I hope you're doing fine. We're sharing more about perfectionism and how it is a trap for us. It's really something that we see on social media. The more beautiful it is, the more we are drawn to it, and the more we think it's pretty much the only thing, or at least the first thing that should matter, so that it draws people. But what if I tell you that it's actually about obedience here? We're not trying to do the perfect, we're trying to do the work of the Lord because He's asking us to do it. So when we start laying everything that we know, everything that we want to do onto the obedience and the commandment and what He wants for us, this is where the whole game changes. So today we're going to talk about how perfectionism is pretty much a trap. It's pretty much that thing where you're never necessarily going to be able to move forward. You're always going to get stuck because you're always going to want to have that perfect script, perfect video with a nice camera, fancy camera, and all those stuff. And, I'm somebody that just loves beautiful things, cute things, pretty things. And maybe it's my obsession with Japan. I think so, because they have that tendency to make everything cute. From the lunchbox, bento, to manga animated. It's just a beautiful thing when you think about Japan. So that might be my obsession here. So let's talk more about obedience and let's talk more about perfectionism and what it is actually, because I think perfectionism is definitely a fancy way of being fearful. It's a cover up because at the end of the day, when you're trying to be perfect, you're always going to wait for that moment to be perfect to create the content. I remember when I was drawing manga, anime, I used to do that a lot. I'm not doing it anymore and I should do it again because I love doing it, but that's not the point. When I used to do that when I was younger, there was always those moments where I couldn't really be able to create all the episodes. I really would come up with a storyline, creating the characters. I loved it. Again, my obsession with Japan, obviously, and my obsession with anime, obviously. I love it. Just saying. But when I was creating the storyline, I was creating the characters, and I would come up with all of that and then creating and started drawing episode per episode. So it would really go into the really details about what's gonna happen into the main characters and how everything is gonna play together. I would always, I remember, create the first episode, the second episode, I would be very excited, the third episode, the fourth episode, and at some point, because I created so many animes, at a certain point, I would wait for me to get ready to just draw. It was something that I never was able to finish. All of my manga, everything that I created, all the stories that I have, it's really came down to me creating the characters, creating the stories, coming up with a couple of episodes, and then at some point there was a couple of scenes where everybody has to fight, and then I'm like, I suck at it. I don't know how to create people in movement and create all those beautiful lines that mangaka do in Japan, and then I would be like, okay, I'm stuck. I need to learn more. I need to just know how to draw more, better. So that would be me learning, but that never put in practice what I was learning. And that's where the issue is when you're trying to be perfect rather than just doing whatever you have in the heart. Because I feel like for all of us, we have that calling. We have that creative calling. But every single time that we hear it, the first response that we have is that I'm not ready. Why are you picking me, God? I'm not doing that. I'm not ready like that. I don't have no camera. I'm not ready for it. I don't even know what to say. How many people are out there with so many beautiful stories, so many ideas? And when it comes to the point of actually doing it and actually creating it, this is where we just get stuck. And this is what I'm talking when I talk about that disguise of just being fearful, of being scared of just messing up, because that's the point. You are more focus into messing up than actually go ahead and just obey. And that's where the difference is the biggest when it comes to people creating for the sake of creating for themselves or for people out there in the world, and you being a Christian and really going and coming from the creative calling that God is actually saying that you should do. And when you start to obey, you start being more at peace. I had that story with my mom and the picture of the faith. And this is where the faith comes into action because you're not obeying just for the sake of obeying. You're obeying because you have faith. You trust him. And my mom had that story. She kind of shared that picture with me of somebody falling off of a cliff. And this is how faith is for us Christians, is that you are falling off, you are jumping off of the cliff. You don't know if you're going to die out there. You just do it because kind of God is asking you to do it. And when we think about the story with Abraham when he was about to sacrifice his first son because the Lord asked him to do so, and he had so much faith. He had so much faith. He didn't ask. He was scared, obviously, because we're human beings. But he went ahead and he was about to do it. And then the Lord was like, you know what? You are faithful. You have the trust. You trust me. And this is how everything started. And that's a trust here, where you don't understand what's going on, but you do it. And what the Lord loves from us is actually to learn to obey more than just being perfect, because we don't have that strength. We don't have that divine strength. You're not alone in this. All the strength that you need of that creative calling is going to be with the Holy Spirit. It's going to be with your guardian angel. It's going to be with the angels. It's going to be with all of those people that have more knowledge, because they have that love for the Lord, that perfect love for the Lord. So they got to guide you. They got to accompany you. You just have to say yes, though. And when we talk about perfectionism as a trap, is the picture. Really get to the picture of somebody falling off of the cliff and having the faith of doing it because he has everything and all the trust in the Lord for it. And we have a passage in the Bible, 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. He says this, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is made perfect in weakness. So I will boast all the more gladly for my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me." You understand there that it is in your weaknesses that the Lord is getting through you, transform other people around you. You creating for the sake of him and just trusting him gets you to have more strength than anybody else trying to create those content just for themselves. It's that extra superhuman divine strength that you're going to get when you started trusting the Lord that way. And his grace is going to be the way of you to have that divine strength. You can't do anything by yourself. You can try to be a superwoman, but there's always going to be that limit. And without the divine strength, the superhuman strength, without that grace, without the Holy Spirit, there's nothing that you can do that's going to be deeply transforming for people other and even for you. So what the Lord is asking for you is not perfection, it's faithfulness. It's not looking for the flawlessness of your content. It's looking for you obeying him. It's looking for a faithfulness, a faithful heart. And then he can do anything that he needs to be doing for you and giving you that grace. So you really need to think about it. The Lord doesn't ask you for perfection. He doesn't ask you for flawlessness. He's asking you for obedience. And the second thing that we need to just remember here is that perfection kind of gets you into that paralysis stage, I would say. Because it is the mindset of somebody being scared and really looking into everything being perfect. It's that I'm not ready, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to do it when I'm going to be ready. And then have the vicious cycle, because you can't be ready unless you do it. But if you don't do it because you're scared, you're never going to be ready. So the big stuckness starts there. You're going to be paralyzed. You're never going to be able to move forward. You're never going to be able to even respond to that creative calling. When you start really being scared, that fear is going to be the way that's going to get you stuck into never respond to the creative calling and never being able to develop your creative gifts, because God can't use you if you just stay stuck into your own mind and your own way of just wanting to do things and just waiting for a perfect moment to do so. Even if you delay things, it's still disobedience. And when you get back to you obeying him, it's not so much more into your own way of doing those things. It's not in your own way of creating it because you know something or you know everything about it. He's going to do that for you. But Delaying things, delaying the work, delaying the yes, actually, is still disobedience though. And when we start to disobeying that, everything gets misaligned. And this is the reason why, even for me, I've been waiting for so many moments where I was waiting for being perfect. I was like, I need to have a perfect setup. I need to have a perfect camera to be able to start talking to people because they need to respect me, or they need to love me, or I need to please them. And if I need to please them, I need to have a really great way of just sitting down and having the perfect English, the perfect way of just speaking things. And AI happened. I'm kidding. AI is very helpful. I'm just saying. And then I was at a point of my life, I was so tired of just me being tired of myself, because I started to have that calling even more stronger, because every single time that I would stop and I would be like, I don't have any, I don't have enough content, I don't have enough things to say. Even before getting in front of the camera, I don't know what to say. I'm too tired. People are not gonna like me because I disappear for so many months, and then I'm gonna come back, and then I'm gonna start speaking. And when you start doing that, just realize that for you to be scared like that is for you to expect something for people out there. And this is where the mindset need to shift a bit, because when you start speaking out there and you start sharing the news of the Lord, yes, you can make money. Yes, you can have a coaching program, which I do, and I help people through that. But the point is not so much to make money first. And when you start having this expectation of making money, this is why you're scared, because from the get-go, when you get in front of the camera, you already have the calling of, you know what, I need to make money. I need to speak to people. If I displease them, I can make money. And then you forget the point of why you are in front of the camera first. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's for you to show up. And then people that really respond to that calling, it's you being disciplined into just being in front of the camera first. Yes, speaking better. Yes, having a more clear message, definitely. And that's why I'm working with people to kind of clarify all of that, because you have a call. You have a creative calling. You just don't know what to do with that. Everything is just foggy. You have multiple things that you're already doing. Maybe you're having full-time job. Maybe you have kids, you have a family, you have other distractions, you have so many things. You don't have time to really focus into what it is that you really want to do and what the Lord wants to do with you. And this is how you start working with people like me, because it's the beginning of that journey. It's like what to do. This is how I feel. This is what I see. This is what I like. This is how, like, does it make sense? And the work here is trying to make sense of everything through working with a coach like me. So the point here is really not so much to have that expectation from the get-go, but really finding the love into just sharing something that you're passionate about, because the Lord is asking you to do so. And then you say yes. You're obeying Him. And that's how you start that journey. The last one that I would add here is that your imperfect work is still powerful, because the Lord wants you to say yes, because He's gonna make everything to make it work for you, because He has that strength. He's calling people through you. And what He wants for you is the obedience, and then your work is gonna be anointed. His grace is gonna anoint that work for you. And we have so many people out there that started with such an imperfect way of starting, and they changed people. They changed people's heart. They transform people. And I have an example like Teresa of Avila that I like. I love her. And she had a book, The Interior Castle. And in that book, what she's talking about, and your relationship with the Lord, and the closer you get to the Lord, the more you get through a lot of changes, the more you're getting more obedient. And she really going in details about it. But even in that book, what she says is that I'm not perfect. I don't know how to write. I never really practice even writing. What I do is that I respond to the calling of the Lord. That's why I'm writing this book for you, for any person out there that needs to read it. It's because God is calling you. So I'm not perfect into that. The way that I'm going to be speaking is going to be imperfect. Some words, some way of saying things, they're not necessarily going to be always align. You might go through certain parts of the book and really question everything, and maybe I'm gonna forget some things, and maybe I'm gonna come back to it, and maybe sometimes it's not gonna make sense, but it's the work of the Lord because it's asking me to do it. And I found so much peace when I read it because she was so blunt, she was so clear, she was so honest, she was so genuine because she loved the Lord so much. And now she's one of the doctor of the church. So I'm just saying, it's like something to think about. Whatever you need to do, writing a book, creating content here, it never has to be perfect. It will never be perfect because without the Lord, you can't make things perfect. We're not perfect. We're fallen beings. How can you make things perfect when you yourself are imperfect? So sometimes it's just to turn on the dim camera and then to just start shooting, start speaking, start talking to people, start drawing if you need to. But it's not going to be perfect. And that's the point. And that's why the Lord really loves that part where you open up and you're saying, yes, I'm weak. Yes, I don't have that strength. Lord, please help me. And one of the other example would be Moses in the Bible. And it's a really great example because the Lord really had a mission for him. And the first thing that he said was, why me? My brother is a much more eloquent person. He knows how to speak. He knows how to create those relationships. I'm stuttering. Like I have no way of speaking the same way that my brother does. So why me? Why are you picking me? I'm not perfect. And the Lord is like, yes, that's I created you, remember? So I know, but I still choose you. So just say yes, and I'm gonna do the rest. That's what I wanted to discuss today. I hope you liked it. I hope you found something useful to it. And like I said, I have my program helping people, and obviously I have a couple of things. I have a book club coming up soon. Definitely, we have a ton of books here. I have a ton of books. I have a ton of books. So we're gonna do that. So if you're interested, everything is going to be down below. And if you want to work with me, I have a free discovery call that's going to be down below as well. We can talk about anything and everything, really. I'm going to do my best to show up. So if you find anything useful, even with my imperfect English and maybe my way sometimes to just say things that might not make sense much, just watch it again. It can help. And then for my next video, we're going to talk more about confidence. We're going to talk more about creative calling, but definitely much more about our own relationship with the Lord and our own yes to create content because it's asking you to do so. So like I say all the time, keep smiling because it's free and contagious in a good way.